Something is happening right now that is causing the United States to almost panic. The Biden administration is struggling to gain control over Congress and the American people, but it's the trust that the American people have in Congress and President Biden himself that is making the Biden administration come out and do some interesting things. I'm going to address what's going on at this moment, what is coming up in about 1 week, and why the United States, the FBI, and Homeland Security are all extremely concerned with China now being the newest and biggest threat to our nation. I want to address what's going on in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So the United States, as we know it, is going to change. Which direction we go, that is something that we do not know. I personally have no clue which direction we're going to go. All I can tell you is that Congress is currently fighting to try to see a government funding bill. They're trying to pass a bill for child tax credits and for business deductions. They're trying to fund Ukraine and Israel. But at the same time, the biggest deal, the biggest bill, is the border security bill, which, according to reports from the Associated Press just today, it says senators have reached a deal on a border policy bill, but now it faces an uphill fight to passage. Now, I want to read you a little bit from this article, but the reason why they are now working harder than ever to pass a bill is for a couple of reasons. Number one, Congress has to pass something, or else every person that is up for re-election could actually lose the upcoming election. That's according to multiple campaign experts, that if we see Congress fight over this border security bill in the midst of tens of thousands of people entering into the United States, or hundreds of thousands of people entering into the United States every single month, that is a concern. That is a massive concern that American voters have said we need a response to. And if Congress comes out and doesn't touch this for the next 8 months, that's going to be a massive concern, because voters are going to vote against the people that are up for re-election. So they will be out and a new person will be in. This is one of the reasons why many lawmakers are saying that we have to pass something. We have to provide something to our constituents so they know we have their back. Well, that's just one reason why. Second reason why they are trying to pass a bill at this time is because there's a lot of concerns over China and Iran. Let me just show you what's happening right now. So first off, the United States said just recently that they disrupted a China cyber threat, but warns hackers could still wreak havoc on Americans. Now, here's what we know. According to the FBI director, Christopher Wray, just this week, he said that China could wreak havoc on Americans. But it's not just China, okay? And it's not just the cyber attacks that they could actually threaten us with and go after our infrastructure, like transportation, like water treatment facilities, and even our electrical grid. They could do all that. They could even shut down some of our ports, especially over on the West Coast. But here's the thing. Because of our borders being open, the threat right now is what happens when people get in. Just look at this. California is seeing a spike in Chinese migrants entering the U.S.-Mexico border. That's what's happening. Now, are these people coming in just to go to school? Probably not. Are they coming in to work? Possibly. Start a family? Maybe. Now, here's the thing that you need to understand about China, and this is why it's very concerning. People aren't just coming in to be a threat to the United States. Some are coming into the United States because, especially over in China, their economy is struggling. We still have that Evergrande problem over in China. Massive issue. Billions of dollars in losses, right? So there's a lot of issues over in China regarding their economy, regarding their, how they are run, their government. So people are coming into the United States. But guess what? China doesn't like that. And China has already been known to go and find the people that are here in the United States that are actually Chinese citizens, questioning what China is doing over there. And now they are threatening those people. It's happened on Facebook. It's happened on Twitter, right? Instagram. We've seen it all over the place, especially on social media. But again, That's just one issue. The other issue is what the United States actually did today. The United States is now launching retaliatory strikes on Iranian-linked militia targets in Iraq and Syria. According to a recent report, U.S. forces have striked 85 targets in Syria and Iraq. This is in response to that attack over in Jordan that actually took the lives of 3 U.S. troops and critically injured about 34 others. One thing I can tell you is that the United States has decided that any attack on the U.S., any attack against our troops, will be retaliated on. Well, Iran says if the United States retaliates, they will respond. They will respond and they will increase the response. The intensity, they will increase it every single time. So we lost 3 people in the last attack. Well, if the United States just responded by striking 85 targets in Iraq and Syria, what is the response going to be when Iran comes back? I don't know. All I can tell you is that this is why Congress says we must pass a bill to protect the U.S. The FBI has warned us that China will wreak havoc on our country from cyber attacks. But there's also an abnormal amount of Chinese nationals and military-age men entering the U.S. at this time. We must stop that. Now, all I can tell you is this is happening right now. I brought this up multiple times over the past week or so. I said that China is a new threat because it's not just China over in China doing cyber attacks to the United States and to our infrastructure. It's also now Chinese nationals coming into the U.S. It's also, people from other countries, from Turkey, from Venezuela, from South Africa. Okay, people coming into the United States that we have no clue what their intentions are. They don't have enough money to survive, but many of them are able to get by. Now, I read an article just the other day that said China is absolutely a threat. And this is how they know it. Because the amount of Chinese nationals that have come into the city, and I can't remember which city it was a city in California, but they said the amount of Chinese nationals that have come into the city versus the amount that are in shelters, 0. There is no Chinese national in a shelter in this particular city, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was one towards the southern border in California. They said there's 0 Chinese nationals in that shelter. So where'd they all go? All I can tell you right now is that Congress understands the ramifications of not passing a bill to protect the U.S. border. The problem is some are trying to fight this, and not because they don't want protection, and let me just paint this picture for you, because this is absolutely insane. We are now seeing, okay, and it has to do with this bill, and I'm going to read this to you in a minute, but we don't know the exact text of the bill yet because they're still working on it. The report is we'll get it this week, but here's the thing. Lawmakers are trying to put a bill for border security, and that's going to be the main bill. They're also going to throw in on top of that a $60 billion bill and funding package for Ukraine. So I'm going to stick that to it as well. Then on top of that big package, we're going to throw more aid for Israel. That's going to go in there as well. Here's the thing. And there's going to be some for humanitarian aid for Gaza as well. So here's the problem. People like Senator Bernie Sanders already stated that he is going to oppose this bill, not because he doesn't want stricter border policies and a safer United States, not because he doesn't support additional funding for Ukraine, but what he doesn't support is military equipment for Israel. Why is that in this entire bill? Well, the expectation is it is. That's what they've been negotiating. And so I want to read you this statement, okay? Or actually, I want to read you a little bit from this article from the Associated Press that just came out today. Look at this. It says Senator Chris Murphy, the lead Democratic negotiator, posted on social media Friday that a deal had been reached and that text of the bill would be released over the weekend. Finally, we're waiting on that. Senators are still working on finishing the rest of the package, which was initiated by a request from President Joe Biden for $110 billion for wartime aid for allies, domestic defense manufacturing, humanitarian assistance for conflicts around the world, and managing the influx of migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. So senators are preparing for a key test vote on the package next week, but it already faces a steep climb through Congress. Republicans in both chambers have balked at compromises on border security policy. Senate Republicans had initially demanded that the package include border policy changes, but Donald Trump, the GOP's likely presidential nominee, has become a vocal opponent of the legislation. Goes on to say, Republicans said the border is a priority and we should craft a bipartisan bill to help control the border. We did that. We have a deal. Now, he says, it's decision time. One thing I can tell you is the senators have already, pretty much worked out this deal. They've been negotiating it. Here's the thing. They didn't really work with the House of Representatives, which the House of Representatives has already passed a bill. Okay, they've already done it. They've already passed a bill. I believe it's H.R. 2 for border security. And that's been sitting on Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer's desk for months. And so right now, here's the thing. House of Representatives, the Republicans in the House are saying that we already have H.R. 2. You know what's there. That is our minimum. This is the minimum that we are going to accept. And now the Senate is coming out and saying, well, this is going to be our bill. We're going to show you the text soon, but here's our bill. And this is going to be our minimum. Once we see both those bills and we can actually compare them side by side, then the question is, who's going to get what? And how long is this going to take to actually pass? Because again, right now, all 50 states are at risk of potential attacks. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is all this stuff is happening right now as we speak. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.